Kane Review, print speaking to the blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @KaneReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@kuenreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
This week's podcast, published on Wednesday the 12th of February 2025, is read to you by volunteers Hunter, Ian, Jahan, Nikki and Philip, and we hope you enjoy the podcast. Bin collection changes prompt angry reaction. Report by Kevin Roberts. East Dunbartonshire Council's announcement of changes to its household general waste collections has prompted a furious reaction on social media. From March the 30th, grey bins will be emptied on a 3-weekly cycle instead of every 2 weeks as at present. The change in bin collections were greeted with anger and dismay when the new arrangements were confirmed on the Council's Facebook page at the end of last week, despite the changes having been agreed by the Council nearly a year ago. Comments on Facebook described the move as a complete joke and utterly disgraceful and disgusting. Many complained their grey bin was already crammed full after 2 weeks, and leaving waste collections for a further week would lead to overflowing bins and rubbish being dumped, attracting vermin such as rats. One of the comments reads, "My recycle bins are full to the max, household of 5, and our general waste bin is always jammed full with a 2-week collection. This is just going to attract more vermin." Another post states, "How are big families going to deal with this? We struggle every 2 weeks, never mind 3 weeks." Amid the tide of anger, there is a very occasional positive, with one resident commenting, "Excellent. Hopefully encourage more recycling and less going to landfill. All our rubbish has to go somewhere. Let's try and create less and recycle more." East Dunbartonshire Council stated it is one of the last Scottish local authorities to introduce 3-weekly collections, which aim to encourage more recycling, decrease what is sent to landfill and reduce operating costs. Explaining the decision, the Council has issued a list of frequently asked questions in which it states, "We know from the waste analysis that 64% of the average general grey waste bin is made up of items which could have been recycled instead. In particular, 31% of what is collected within the grey bins is food waste. By reducing the frequency of the collections, we aim to decrease the amount of general, non-recyclable waste and, instead, drive up our food waste recycling rates." The Council adds it can provide advice and support to families who have a difficulty managing with a single standard grey bin. This will involve identifying any additional actions that could be taken to increase recycling or to make better use of the bin capacity available. In very limited cases, consideration will be given for the provision of additional bins to households who are fully utilising all available recycling services at the curbside, including food, and have 6 or more people living full-time at the same address, or 2 or more babies and nappies living in the household at the same time. However, prior to additional capacity being provided, residents will be provided with a waste diary to complete over a 3-week collection cycle. On completion and submission of this information, a waste advisor will visit and carry out a review. Changes to the grey bin collections will be introduced from Sunday, March the 30th. There will be no changes to the recycling collection, blue, brown, green and caddy, services. And that report was by Kevin Roberts, read by Ian McKenna. This week in history. February 13th, 1987. London's property boom resulted in a 5-foot 6-inch by 11-foot broom cupboard opposite Harrods, being offered for sale at £36,500, more than £600 per square foot. February 14th, 1975. Sir Pelham Grenville Woodhouse, P.G. Woodhouse, KBE, known affectionately as Plum, and writer of many humorous novels, notably the Jeeves series, died in the United States aged 93. On this day last year, a C-3PO head from the private collection of Star Wars actor Anthony Daniels sold for $843,750, £660,000, at auction. February 15th, 1971. Britain changed over to decimal coinage on Decimal Day. On this day last year, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex joined Invictus Games competitors training in Canada as they marked a year to go until the global sporting event. February 16th, 1959. Fidel Castro became Prime Minister of Cuba after overthrowing the regime of Fulgencio Batista. February 17th, 1959. The Queen allowed Marlborough House to be used by the government and, as a result, it became the home of the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Commonwealth Foundation. On this day last year, six-time Olympic champion Sir Chris Hoy announced that he has been diagnosed with cancer after he said he felt forced to reveal the news. That was This Week in History.
Choir has raised £500,000 for CHAS, a report by Kevin McRoberts. A cheque representing the total funds raised over a 22-year period by Springfield Cambridge Festival Chorus and Orchestra, SCFC, has been presented to children's hospices across Scotland, CHAS. Choir members Maureen Brown and Ewan Russell made the presentation to CHAS community fundraiser Ben Morgan at a dinner in the Eagle Lodge, Bishopbriggs last Wednesday, February 5. The amount of £502,012 is an incredible sum, which was reached when over £36,000 was raised from the latest concert in December. The concert, held in Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, took place a couple of days before Christmas. Titled Rejoice and Sing, it continued in the tradition of bringing the latest popular arrangements of traditional and contemporary music to be enjoyed by the large and appreciative audience. And as always, there were plenty of opportunities for the orchestra, choirs, and audience to join in some roof-raising communal carol singing. The SCFC was started in 2002 by Alan Craig, musical director at Springfield Cambridge Parish Church in Bishopbriggs, as a small voluntary group of singers and musicians presenting a Christmas concert to an audience of a few hundred in the church. Working with Bishopbriggs churches together over the years, SCFC draws members from many congregations and denominations in support of this worthy cause. The SCFC has since expanded and now fills the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall for its annual Christmas concert, with over 130 choir members, a junior chorus, and a 45-piece symphony orchestra. The ages range from 10 to 92, with SCFC highlighting the breadth of commitment from so many members of both the local communities and those from further afield, where a 10-week rehearsal period results in a superb fundraising concert to an audience of 2,000 in Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, with professional musicians all giving their time for free. The broad public support for these concerts is quite humbling, and Alan is now looking forward to SCFC raising £1 million for CHAS sometime in the future. And that article was written by Kevin McRoberts and read by me, Nikki.
8 candidates standing in Thursday's by-election as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. 8 candidates will contest the by-election for a councillor to represent the Kirkintilloch East and North and Twecker ward of East Dunbartonshire Council. The election, which takes place tomorrow, Thursday, February the 13th, was called following the resignation of Scottish Liberal Democrat Susan Murray, who stepped down after being elected as MP for Mid Dunbartonshire in last summer's general election. The candidates contesting the by-election are Marthos Christoforou, Scottish Liberal Democrats, Eamon Gallagher, Alba Party for Independence, Satbir Kaur Gill, Scottish Conservative and Unionist, Bruce Hampton, Reform UK, Aidan Marshall, Scottish Labour Party, Serena Marshall, Scottish National Party, Alan McManus, Sovereignty, and Elizabeth Rowan, Scottish Greens. Polling stations will open between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m, with voting taking place at Oxgang Primary School, Twecker Primary School, Hairstains Primary School, Hillhead Community Centre and St David's Memorial Park Church Hall. Counting will begin at Kirkintilloch Leisure Centre after the polls have closed. Voters do not require ID to participate in local government elections. Approval for hall renovations. Councillors have approved proposals to renovate a public hall in Lennoxtown. East Dunbartonshire Council's Planning Board unanimously backed plans to overhaul Campsie Memorial Hall. The project will include partial demolition of the existing building, the addition of a new extension, new wall insulation and windows, access alterations including steps and a ramp, as well as installation of solar panels. The hall is owned by the council and has been under the management of Campsie Memorial Trust since 2008. It is a venue for community meetings, clubs and private events and used primarily in the evenings. The board's decision was in keeping with recommendations by planning officers. Permission is subject to conditions requiring certain preliminary assessments be undertaken and defining the hours during which work on site will be carried out. An additional condition was also imposed to ensure a decorative plaque on the north front gable is preserved.
Teenagers Nerd Club, a report by Kevin McRoberts. Teenage wildlife enthusiasts are being invited to join a new group. The NERD Club, Naturalists and Ecologists Recording Data, is for teachers and young people up to university age interested in nature recording and wildlife. It is based in the woods at Upper Woodburn between Kirkintilloch and Kilsyth near Milton of Campsie. Leader Kat Jones said, "In our first meeting we were bird ringing and caught 28 birds of 7 species. We plan to spend the seasons recording wildlife in the woods where we're based. We will put up and monitor a colour-ringed nest box population of tits, do regular surveys of the bats, take part in official surveys and learn about and record fungi, moss, plants. I have been inspired to start this group by my own years of being a nerdy teenager in the 80s and obsessed with birdwatching. I was in the Heath House YOC, led by the aptly named Mrs. Bird. She and co-leaders guided our disparate flock of young people to an enduring love of nature. I hope that the Nerd Club can provide that same sense of belonging and inspiration. We welcome young people interested in nature and wildlife recording, whether you have a special interest already perhaps in birds, or you want to learn more. Participants need to be 14 years old or over, and we also welcome young people studying at university to be part of the group as young leaders. If you're interested in joining the Nerd Club, contact Kat by emailing kat, K-A-T, at aprs.scot. More information is available at upperwoodburn.com. More information is available at upperwoodburn.com/nature-club. That report was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Review of Greenbelt Policy. East Dunbartonshire Council seeking an outside expert to work on a review of its Greenbelt policy. The appointed contractor will appraise various changes since the previous reviews of the Greenbelt boundary and provide full and comprehensive updates. Previous Greenbelt reviews took place in 2012 and 2020. The review is intended to help ensure that the inner Greenbelt boundary is protected, enhanced and sustainable. Following the review, the contractor will also be required to undertake a landscape capacity review of some sites in order to appraise their suitability for future development. Not including VAT, this contract is valued at £20,000 with a 1-year duration. Bids have a submission deadline of this Friday, February the 14th, and can be submitted via Public Contracts Scotland. 25-metre mast approved. Councillors have unconditionally approved the installation of a 25-metre tall communications tower in Bishopbriggs. Cornerstone sought permission for the tower and associated infrastructure at the end of St Mungo Street. Properties close to the site include commercial units, a care home and some recently constructed flats and the railway line. With East Dunbartonshire Council's policies requiring that digital infrastructure projects be generally supported, planning officers recommended giving permission without conditions. One objection to the application was received from Bishopbriggs Community Council on aesthetic grounds, but it was the opinion of the Council's planners that there would be no significant detriment to the character and appearance of the surrounding area.
MP hits out at proposed postal cuts. A report by Kevin McRoberts. Mid Dunbartonshire's MP has called on Royal Mail not to cut deliveries of second-class post or scrap Saturday deliveries. Susan Murray says the proposed changes would see second-class deliveries only on alternating weekdays, with businesses and families across the constituency forced to wait longer for important deliveries. But Ofcom, the regulator for the communication services who drew up the proposals, says second-class posts would still be delivered within 3 working days of collection, and it insisted reforms were necessary to secure the longer-term financial sustainability of the postal service. Ms Murray said, "Many people in Mid Dunbartonshire rely on daily postal services, including those running online businesses and those living in our most remote places, especially the elderly, who are likely to be the worst affected. By curtailing these vital services, Royal Mail will be making life more difficult for many people in our community, and it is a decision they should immediately reverse. Doing so would also help our excellent local post offices to do their jobs, providing services and assistance for many, including some of the most vulnerable people in our community." The Scottish Liberal Democrat MP says her strong links with local businesses and communities has given her a deep understanding of the importance of mail services to them and those they serve. However, Ofcom says its latest in-depth research indicated most postal users do not need 6 days a week delivery for the majority of letters. While most people still rely on post, the way they use it has changed dramatically. 20 years ago, Royal Mail was delivering 20 billion letters. That number is now 6.6 billion a year, and the Royal Mail expects it to be 4 billion a year in the next few years. Declining volumes have driven up the average cost of delivering a letter, and with postal workers walking more routes but delivering far fewer letters, the company has been losing hundreds of millions of pounds. Ofcom is proposing to allow Royal Mail to deliver second-class letters on alternate weekdays, still within 3 days of collection, but not on Saturdays. Ofcom says it has assessed postal users' needs and provisionally concluded that the proposed new services would continue to meet them, adding that only 4% of users think that they would be very significantly impacted by the proposed changes. It estimates these changes would enable Royal Mail to realise annual net cost savings between £250 million and £425 million, which could enable it to improve reliability and redeploy existing resources to growth areas such as parcels. Natalie Black, Ofcom's Group Director for Networks and Communications, said, "The world has changed. We're sending a third of the letters we were 20 years ago. We need to reform the postal service to protect its future and ensure it delivers for the whole of the UK. But we're safeguarding what matters most to people. First-class mail, 6 days a week at the same price throughout the UK, and a price cap on second-class stamps." And that article was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Counting Cost of Scammers by Julie Curry. Fraud and scam complaints from people living in Scotland have increased by almost 40%, research from the Financial Ombudsman Service has revealed. Scots have submitted 1,300 complaints about fraud and scams this financial year from April 1st to December 31st, 2024. In the same period in 2023, those living in Scotland lodged around 950 fraud and scam complaints. The Dispute Resolution Service, which is free for consumers, received 26,500 complaints in the same period about fraud and scams from people in the UK, up by a third compared to 2023. The Financial Ombudsman Service can help people if they have lost money because of a fraud or a scam and their bank refuses to refund them. Just under half the complaints from Scots were about authorised push payment, or APP scams. APP scams occur when someone is tricked into transferring money to a fraudster's account, believing they are making a genuine payment. Scammers may, for example, sell fake goods, such as cars, or promote non-existent services. This can mean consumers transfer money to fraudsters under the mistaken belief they are genuine. James Dipple-Johnston, FOS Deputy Chief Ombudsman, said, "Being the victim of a fraud or scam can be a life-changing experience, both emotionally and financially, but support is available. In recent years, as a result of our investigations into thousands of cases across the UK, more than £150 million has been returned to those who have fallen victim to these crimes. Consumers should raise any suspicious transactions with their bank as soon as possible. If people are unhappy with how their financial provider has handled their complaint, they can come directly to our service. Getting a fair answer is free and easy." Multi-stage frauds, where funds pass through several banks before reaching the fraudster, are now becoming more common. This is particularly prevalent in cryptocurrency investment scams, as well as safe account scams, where people are cold-called by fraudsters posing as a trusted entity, such as their bank, and persuaded to transfer money to another account. Pat Hurley, FOS Ombudsman Director, said, "People from all walks of life can fall victim to a scam. Scammers' strategies are always evolving, and they're looking constantly for new ways to defraud people, so it's more important than ever to be extra thoughtful about payments." Increasingly, we're seeing more multi-stage frauds, where fraudsters encourage people to move money through different banks for investment opportunities, including cryptocurrency. While the victim is promised amazing returns, it's actually a scam. We also continue to see traditional scams where criminals pose as an official body, such as a bank or the police, and ask consumers to move their money to a safe account. If you're called out of the blue, hang up the phone. When people submit a complaint to the Financial Ombudsman Service, it will make a decision about what happened using evidence from consumers, the financial business, and any relevant third parties. It will also consider the relevant rules and regulations. When it has finished investigating, the Financial Ombudsman will say whether it thinks the business treated someone fairly, and it will explain how it reached its decision. It can also order the bank to reimburse someone. To find out more, visit www.financial-ombudsman.org.uk. It has also been revealed that Scots are losing more than £10,000 per week to rogue traders selling substandard insulation services. Figures from Advice Direct Scotland reveal a sharp rise in these scams over the past year, with cowboy contractors exploiting the energy crisis to convince people they can lower their bills. The charity, which runs a scam reporting tool at consumeradvice.scot, found that Scots have lost a total of £661,586 to insulation-related scams over the past 2 years. In 2023-24 alone, £197,762 was lost, but reports have more than doubled in the current financial year. As of January 31st, the total amount lost in 2024-25 stood at £463,824. This means Scots are losing £10,786 every week to such scams. Hazel Knowles, Advice Direct Scotland Senior Project Lead, said, "Roofing and insulation scams tend to increase during the colder months as homeowners try to keep their costs down. Scammers take advantage of this increased demand by offering overpriced or unnecessary insulation services, often using high-pressure sales tactics. These scammers are ruthless. They will dupe people into thinking they need insulation, fit substandard materials which cause damage, and then have the gall to go back to convince the homeowner to pay them to rip it out again. For free advice, call 0808 164 6000 or visit www.consumeradvice.scot. That article was written by Julie Curry.
April pay boost for workers on the lowest wage. A report by Julie Curry. More than 3 million workers in shops, restaurants and workplaces across the UK are set to receive a pay boost from April. The UK government has confirmed a new national living wage of £12.21 and a new national minimum wage of £10 per hour. Announced at last year's budget, the 6.7% increase to the national living wage, which will be worth £1,400 a year for an eligible full-time worker. The national minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds will see full-time younger workers eligible for the rate have their pay boosted by £2,500 a year. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, said, "This government promised a genuine living wage for working people that will support them with the cost of living, creating a workforce that is fit and ready to help us deliver our number one mission to grow the economy. This pay boost for millions of workers is a significant step towards delivering on that promise. The national minimum wage is the minimum amount an employer must pay per hour for most workers, while the national living wage is the higher rate that applies to workers aged 21 and over. It is the first time the national living wage has taken into account the cost of living and inflation and marks the first step towards aligning the national minimum wage and national living wage to create a single adult wage rate. This will put an end to age-based wage discrimination, meaning employers can no longer be justified in paying younger workers less for doing the same job as their older colleagues. Employment Rights Minister Justin Mathers said, "Economic growth only matters if working people are feeling the benefits. This will be a welcome pay bump for millions of workers who in turn will spend more boosting our high streets. Our plan for change is putting money back into people's pockets and delivering better living standards across the country." The minimum hourly wage for an apprentice is also set to be boosted, with an 18-year-old apprentice in an industry like construction seeing the minimum hourly pay increase by 18% from £6.40 to £7.55 an hour. And that report was written by Julie Curry.
Patients see the benefits of virtual consultations by Kevin McRoberts. Patients have highlighted some of the main benefits of virtual consultations, as a survey suggests almost 2/3 of those who've had one were happy with their experience. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde wants to increase its use of video and telephone appointments, which can make it easier and more flexible for patients to attend by reducing the time and costs associated with travel. A survey found that the majority of respondents who have had a virtual consultation previously would do so again, with 63% saying they were very satisfied or satisfied with the way their appointment was carried out. Highlighting some of the key benefits, more than a fifth, 22%, listed not having to travel, while 19% said virtual consultations were good for people with mobility issues. A further 15% said shorter waiting times would be a benefit, and the same proportion said it would help patients avoid exposures to illnesses. Other positives listed include more flexibility in scheduling appointments when they are virtual, and video or telephone consultations being easier to attend while they're working, with 13% of respondents citing each of these. NHS GGC uses the Near Me video platform to conduct video appointments. It is secure and easy to connect to with any device that can make video calls. Patients are being reminded they can explore the option of having a virtual consultation with their healthcare professional. Face-to-face appointments will always be offered to those who need them, for reasons such as the requirement for a physical examination or when complex information must be shared. Virtual consultations can reduce the time patients have to take away from work, education, or other responsibilities to attend hospital unnecessarily. They can be particularly helpful to those who are managing long-term conditions and may need regular check-ins with their clinicians, as well as in situations where a physical examination or procedure is not required. The survey by NHS GGC found that respondents would be most comfortable using virtual appointments for routine checkups, follow-up visits, medication reviews and test results, minor illnesses and initial consultations. Dr. Claire Harrow, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde's Deputy Medical Director for Acute Services, said, "Our survey suggests the majority of patients who've had a virtual consultation were happy with their experience and would be willing to have their appointment held in this way again." We know there are many benefits to remote and virtual consultations. They reduce the need for people travelling to and from hospital, saving time and money, and offer greater flexibility. Some of these benefits were highlighted in the survey, with patients also saying virtual consultations would allow them to take less time away from their responsibilities to attend. We would encourage patients to explore the option of a virtual consultation with their clinician. They may not always be suitable, and face-to-face consultations will always be offered to those who need them. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts. Progress on reducing car usage has been minimal, by Julie Curry. A lack of leadership has meant the Scottish Government has made minimal progress towards its challenging climate change goal of reducing car use. The damning verdict was delivered in the latest report from the Accounts Commission on Sustainable Transport in Scotland. In 2020, the Scottish Government said it wanted to reduce car kilometres driven by 20% by 2030 as part of its efforts to cut greenhouse gas emissions. However, the Government has yet to produce a delivery plan for achieving the target, which the Accounts Commission said it is unlikely to meet. Since 2020, car traffic has increased to near pre-pandemic levels, public transport use has reduced, and there has been no significant change in how much people walk and cycle. Furthermore, the report stated that spending by councils and the Scottish Government on reducing car use is complex, fragmented, and lacks transparency. Ministers have spent significant sums on concessionary bus travel and active travel, but have not considered how best to target funding to reduce car use. Stephen Boyle, Auditor General for Scotland, said, "The Scottish Government set an ambitious and very challenging target to reduce car use by 20% by 2030. But there has been a lack of leadership around delivering this goal. It's now unlikely the Government will achieve its ambition, so it needs to be clear how this will affect its wider ambitions to achieve net zero emissions by 2045. Councils have a key role in reducing car use, but some have prioritised the 20% target more than others. Rural councils face bigger obstacles to delivering change due to geography and poorer public transport networks. The report said councils need clearer guidance and direction from the Scottish Government on their role in helping deliver the target. Ruth MacLeod, a member of the Accounts Commission, said, "All parts of government need to act to deliver the 2030 car use reduction target. Councils need to set out to what extent they will contribute and how they will measure their progress. But they also need clearer guidance and direction from the Scottish Government to agree their role in reducing car use in their area." In 2019, the Scottish Government declared a climate emergency and went on to set challenging new emission reduction targets, including a target of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. It also announced interim targets, including a 75% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, based on 1990 levels, but the Scottish Parliament voted to remove the interim targets in November. The Climate Change Committee advised at the time that achieving the 2030 target would be extremely challenging. Domestic transport is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Scotland, accounting for 28%. Emissions from cars make up the largest share of all domestic transport emissions. The report notes car use has rebounded since the pandemic. It also charts how each local authority area in Scotland is faring at https://publications/sustainable-transport. That article was written by Julie Curry. Westminster View by Susan Murray MP. Bank of Scotland closures are bad news for the community. Despite the prevalence of online banking, many residents in mid-Dumbartonshire value our local branches and regularly visit the banks on high streets. From older people who prefer to do their banking in person, to businesses and community groups who require the advice and cash handling services that branches provide, lots of people in mid-Dumbartonshire enjoy banking in person. This is why the closure of the town centre branches of the Bank of Scotland in Bishopbriggs and Kirkintilloch causes concern. Mid-Dumbartonshire residents have already had to adapt to the trend of branches shutting, but our community has specific needs, and banks should understand the public service role they play here. Further branch closures are not welcome. It has been announced that a banking hub is planned for Bishopbriggs. Banking hubs are places on the high street that allow customers from major banks and building societies to transact their business on specific days. While it is reassuring that a hub will be put in place to provide some in-person banking capacity, and welcome that branches are left open until the hub is operational, individuals and businesses in mid-Dumbartonshire still have concerns that need to be addressed. With the news of another bank closure in the community already, this information should be made available immediately. This will help people and businesses plan and help to assuage any anxiety still held about banking. There is no stopping progress, and services including banking moving online is part of that progress. In many cases, it makes life easier and more convenient, particularly for working people who can manage their personal finances on the go or from home. Our excellent post offices are also key partners in this. They do a huge amount to help people in the community bank with confidence, and we should be grateful to them. However, it's important that we not leave anyone behind as banking moves on, and ensuring that those who need in-person services for whatever reason can still access it. That would be banking in a truly inclusive way. That article was written by Susan Murray MP.
Wednesday the 12th of February 2025, Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald letters page. Let's talk. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@jnscotland.co.uk. That's KIRKY HERALD @JNScotland.co.uk and write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a date and phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Volunteer for Childline. Sir, on average, a child contacts Childline every 45 seconds and, for some young people, the service provides a lifeline. Childline is available 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, to support children and young people, whatever their worry or concern, both online and over the phone. But this wouldn't be possible without our incredible volunteer counsellors who give their time to be there for children. Last year, 2023-24, our trained Childline counsellors in Glasgow delivered 15,446 counselling sessions to be there for young people when they feel they have no one else to turn to. So, if you'd like to do something worthwhile and rewarding this year, and learn valuable new skills at the same time, we are currently recruiting for volunteer counsellors in Glasgow. By joining Childline, you become part of a friendly team of like-minded people, and you'll receive all the training you need to prepare you. Once you become a counsellor, there will always be a supervisor on hand to support you during and after your shifts. For more information, search Volunteer with Childline or contact Ian Angus Felton by emailing ian.angusfelton@nspcc.org.uk. That's IAN.ANGUSFELTON@nspcc.org.uk. Or volunteer recruitment @nspcc.org.uk. Yours, etc., Ian Angus Felton, Childline Practitioner, Glasgow. Time to absorb costs. Sir, the hospitality sector is an important contributor to our Scottish and local economies. It is also one of the most vocal complainants. We have a stream of representatives of the hospitality sector telling us of their woes, struggling to survive. The hospitality sector has perennially adopted a default position of passing on extra costs to their customers via their drinks and food menus. The current complaint is a 1.2% increase on national insurance, which, we are told, will inevitably translate into price increases and redundancies. The food and drink sector enjoys gross margins, which other enterprises can only imagine. The manufacturing sector considers circa 30 to 45% a healthy gross margin. By comparison, the food and drink sector routinely enjoys food margins in excess of 60%, a healthy drinks margin in excess of circa 200%, rising to 600% for a coffee. Yet cafes, bars and restaurants appear to have little resilience to any type of adverse economic condition. It is time for proprietors to consider becoming more creative and stretch their minds beyond the easy option of applying price hikes. Absorbing a portion of additional cost appears to be an alien concept to this sector. It is now appropriate for the food and drink sector to step up and acknowledge that the current approach adopted by the sector is unsustainable. Those businesses which cannot demonstrate creativity, competitiveness, and business acumen should be displaced by those who can, and the public should patronise accordingly. Yours, etc., Dr. G. F. Flynn, by email. Refuse to pay? Sir, so a judge has ruled that the Scottish Government can be sued for its failed waste deposit scheme. Biffa is suing for £160 million. What do you think is the most likely outcome? That Lorna Slater, the brains behind the scheme, is forced to stand down as an MSP? Or she blames Westminster is completely exonerated by the SNP and continues in her parliamentary role? With someone as weak as John Swinney in charge, we all know it will be the latter. When push comes to shove, nationalists stick together. Yours, etc., Martin Redfern, by email. We need all our sources. Sir, in a recent Commons debate on the Climate and Nature Bill, Labour's Barry Gardiner asked why the Drax power station in North Yorkshire was receiving subsidies when it burnt wood pellets from trees in Canada. Drax burns the equivalent of 27 million trees every year and, in doing so, produces nearly 12 million tonnes of carbon dioxide, which is more than it did when burning coal. Drax is subsidised to the tune of £600 million a year, and the £1.65 billion given to wind turbine companies to turn off their turbines escalates our electricity bills. In the last year, Drax supplied 7.1% of the UK's electricity, while gas supplied 27.9%, nuclear 14.8%, interconnectors 12.7%, and wind a feeble 30.7% from 11,000 turbines. When will politicians realise that we need gas, nuclear, wood and interconnectors to keep the lights on? Yours, etc., Clark Cross, by email. And that was this week's Let's Talk's Letters page. Read by me, Ian.
Call to deliver on the promise. A report by Don Renton. A new report published has found that unexpected events and systematic barriers have delayed a promise which impacts care-experienced children, young people and adults in East Dunbartonshire. This year marks the midway point since Scotland made a promise to care-experienced children and young people that they would grow up loved, safe and respected. Report 3, published by the Oversight Board for the Promise, has found issues impacting the workforce and in whole family support that has meant that the promise is not halfway to being kept. However, the board, whose role it is to report on whether Scotland is keeping the promise, consider that the progress made, added to the restated commitment of those responsible, means that it is still possible to deliver by 2030. The report found that too many people cannot access the right family support when they need it, including housing barriers, issues with support for kinship, adoption and foster carers, and gaps in data to understand what really matters to children and families. Short-term funding cycles have also been highlighted as an issue, with some of the workforce having to repeatedly secure funding rather than using that focus to concentrate on the families they support. When looking at the workplace, the board found that services are stretched and pressure is growing. The cost of living crisis has pushed more children, young people and families into poverty, and the workforce needs targeted investment and a national strategy rather than cuts. There are continuing issues with social worker retention and recruitment, as well as foster carer numbers. They also found positive changes happening in every local authority area and national changes, including work from the community of practice for siblings, working to keep brothers and sisters together, and the new national minimum recommended allowance for foster carers and kinship carers. David Anderson, chair of the Oversight Board, said, "All our board members know how important it is that the promise is kept. Many of us have direct experience of care, while every one of us strives to keep the promise in our working lives. What we need now is action around spending decisions, bravery to do things differently, to count what matters rather than what is easy or politically palatable. Some people, some organisations and some systems are not yet doing enough, and this risks the country as a whole failing to deliver the promise." In saying that, this report recognises and wishes to highlight that many people across East and Bartonshire are keeping promise in their day-to-day work. The changes our report highlights will assist them to ensure the right support is available at the right time for children and families. Right now, the journey is behind schedule, but progress thus far, added to the continuing commitment to the journey, makes it still possible for Scotland to deliver by 2030. However, there is not a minute left to lose. We remain determined that the promise must be kept. This is about Scotland's children and young people. There is no task which is more important, and not a moment left to waste. Read the report at www.oversightboard.scot. And that article was written by Don Renton.
Population growth thanks to migration. Scotland's population is projected to grow to 5.8 million people by 2047, according to new statistics from National Records of Scotland. Statisticians project a population increase of 4.4% in the 10 years from the middle of 2022. The longer range projection to 2047 is for a 6.2% increase. Without migration, Scotland's population would fall as deaths are projected to continue to outnumber births. Andrew White, National Records of Scotland, Head of Population and Migration Statistics, stated, "The country has an ageing population and this is projected to continue. It is projected that there will be around 1/3 of a million more people aged 75 and older by mid-2047. Our projections suggest that by the middle of 2047, people of working age will make up 64% of the population, just a little less than now, while those aged 0 to 15 years old will fall by 9%, or almost 80,000 people."
G'day, it's Philip here, just back from Australia. That's why I'm greeting you with an Aussie greet. G'day. And I'm going to be sharing the church news again from the Kirkintilloch Herald. And starting off with Milton and Campsie Church news. Following on the Great Garden Birdwatch, we're getting ready for our next Go Mad Extra called To a Penny on February the 23rd. Yes, it will be sparrow related. Milton and Campsie Church Centre between 1 p.m. and 3. Free admission. Donation box is there as well. And art, music, puzzles, games, snacks. Bring a packed lunch if you're at Jigsaw, another part of the church. More information can be had from Phyllis. We'll be having our own unity celebration with St Paul's, St Mackin's and Campsie churches during the second week of March. More details nearer the time. Our minister, Julie, is now interim moderator at St David's Park Church in Kirkintilloch. And we begin our union negotiations with Campsie Church. Meantime, Cafe Connect is on Tuesdays 9:30 till 12 noon. Time to pray on Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Eric Liddell. The fellowship meets at 7:30 p.m. and Go Mad preparation is at 7:45 p.m. On Friday at 6:15 p.m. BB, Anchor and Junior sections. Next Sunday, February the 16th, we'll meet for worship at 11 a.m. We'll focus on Jesus, light of the world. So send in a photograph of yourself with a torch or lamp or candle. Monday at 9:45 a.m. Baby and Toddler Group. At 2 p.m. Hobbies Club, 7:30 Badminton Club. And that's all the news from Milton of Campsie Church. Now moving on to other churches within the Eastern Bartonshire area. We go to Home Church. That's in Lammermuir Road, Kirkintilloch. Home Church Kirkintilloch and also Home Church East End, Carmyle, and Home Kitchen Cafe Church in Skelmorley. This is a new part of the Home Church network, a church for all ages. It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. And Sunday the 16th, 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. worship services, followed by refreshments. A warm welcome awaits you at either service, which will be identical. There is also a creche and Sunday school. Evening service on the 1st, 2nd and 4th Sundays of the month at various locations at 6:30 p.m. The Monday's ladies prayer meeting, 7 p.m. read through the Bible discussion on Zoom every fortnight at 8 p.m. Tuesdays, Zoom Bible study 2:30 to 4 p.m. Wednesday, prayer and Bible study groups in the church and online. Thursday, prayer meeting in church at 7 a.m. Football is at 7:30 p.m. Friday's youth group, 7:30 p.m. Prayer meeting is also at 7:30 p.m. Home radio is available every day. See Facebook, Instagram and Home Church website for the latest information for Carmyle, Home Kitchen Church, Cafe Church, Skelmorley and Kirkintilloch. And if you want to hear my dulcet tones, tune in on Monday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. on Home Radio. And I'll be sharing about what's happening across the world and what God is doing. And now we move to Kirkintilloch Church of God at Regent Hall, Regent Street. On Sunday, there will be a good news service at 4 p.m. A warm welcome is extended to all. On Wednesday, Coffee Corner is open from 12 noon to 2 p.m. for home baking and coffee. Join our friends and neighbours for a coffee and a chat. All welcome. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website, www.regenthall.org. Jesus said, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. And that's found in Luke. And then we move to Lenzie Old Parish Church. Sunday worship is at 11 a.m. A creche is available for children under 3. The quilt and craft group meet every Wednesday, 10 a.m. till noon in the session room. Thursday afternoon club is on Thursday. Yes, good day to have Thursday afternoon club on a Thursday. And that's on February the 13th. And yes, February 13th. Yes, I think that's passed, but it'll be starting from February the 13th. And that's at 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. Enjoy tea, coffee, home baking, followed by a game of Scrabble, Dominoes, Rubik's Cube or Uno. If preferred, you can just sit back and chat or do your knitting. And then as the Scottish country dancing is on every Thursday at 7:15 p.m. till 9:30. Come along for fun, fitness and friendship. You'll be made very welcome. Come and sing. The dementia-friendly singing group meets in the church hall on Tuesday, February the 18th at 1:15 to 2:45. A warm welcome awaits all, and of course, a cuppa with some delicious home baking. Please feel free to come and sing. Now back to Kirkintilloch to St Mary's Parish Church. The service on Sunday, February 16th will begin at 11 a.m. as usual and be led or taken by the Reverend Dr. Ruth Morrison. There will be age-appropriate activities for our young people in the church halls. Wednesday welcome continues on Wednesday, February the 12th, when tea, coffee and home baking will be available from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. With a short service taken by Ruth Morrison will take place as well. And we're holding our first board games day on Saturday, February 22nd, and you're all invited. Come along with your children, grandchildren, with a friend or your own. Enjoy playing various board games and fellowship together with rolls, with bacon, sausage will be available at lunchtime, and refreshments will be available as well throughout the day. The fun starts at 11 a.m, finishes at 1 p.m. Stay for the whole time or simply drop in for a quick game. Either way, you'll be most welcome. Hope to see you there. Tickets will be on sale after the service for the pancake lunch, which is on Sunday, March the 9th. They cost £1 to secure a place, plus a donation on the day. The lunch will consist of 2 courses, a savoury one, followed by a sweet pancake, with a variety of accompaniments. The next open doors will take place on Wednesday, March the 5th, where we will be entertained by the Kirkintilloch Ladies Choir from 12:30 p.m. Then to Kenmure Parish Church, the Reverend Susan Anderson will lead us in our Sunday worship, beginning at 11 a.m. Visitors to the area will be made very welcome when they join us for our services. You can attend either in person or online, or on YouTube channel. The service on YouTube can be watched live as it is streamed or later at a time that suits you. You can find our channel by simply searching for Kenmure Bishopbriggs on YouTube. There will be a period of fellowship following the service in the hall when teas, coffees, juice and biscuits are served. For more information, visit www.kenmure-church.co.uk. To find us on Facebook, just search for Kenmure Parish Church. And if you'd like to join our WhatsApp group or receive the Bible study notes from ABC, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. And now back to Lenzie, the Lenzie Union Parish Church, that is. The Sunday service at 11 a.m. will be led by John Nicholson. The young people are all welcome at Lighthouse and Bible class. A live stream of the service will be available on YouTube. We also have the meeting place open for tea and coffee and home baking every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon in the new hall. Everyone from the very young to the young at heart is welcome to attend. We also have a good selection of greeting cards and second-hand books for sale. The Lenzie Bridge Club is on Wednesdays in Lenzie Old Hall, that is, between 1 and 3 p.m. Come play this classic game. The coffee pot opens on Fridays for tea, coffee, home baking, a warm, friendly, welcome atmosphere for all ages. And the Silver Movers meet on Monday, February the 17th at 1:30 p.m. in the Old Hall. A little light exercise and a lot of laughing. All you need is comfortable clothes and some water. Now back to Bishopbriggs, to St James Church, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs, where the minister there is Paul Watson. On Saturday, February the 15th, Dads and Kids is held from 10:45 to 12 noon, and is a great chance for dads with young children to get together around some banter, bacon rolls and coffee while the kids play. On Sunday, February the 16th, there will be a Sunday club at 10:30 a.m. There's a communion service at 11 a.m. on Thursday, February the 13th in the chapel, and on Sunday, February the 16th, the chapel at 9 a.m. and at 10:30 a.m. in the church with hymns. The church with hymns, be in the church and they sing hymns, Everyone is welcome to come along to any of the services. Do stay for tea, coffee and fellowship afterwards. There is also other virtual services and groups. For up-to-date and further information, visit Facebook, St James LS Bishopbriggs, or the website www.stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. And now to Parish Church in Torrance Parish Church, that is. The morning service in person at 10:30 a.m. conducted by the Reverend Stuart Irvin. During the service, the youngsters meet together in Crest, Junior Church and Frog, that's Friends of God. To join the service, click online at torranceparischurch.online.church. The cafe is open every Wednesday at 9 a.m. to 12 noon for teas, coffees and delicious home baking. Why not come and taste for yourself? The Boys Brigade meet on Wednesdays 7 to 9 p.m. P7 to S6. To find out about regular weekly activities, check out the website for what's on at www.tpc.org.uk. And there you have it. That's the church news for this week. My first week back coming from the sunny climes of Australia. And it was a bit warmer there than it is here. Here it's about 4 degrees. In Australia, it was anything from 35 to 44 degrees. And it was hot, hot, hot. Anyway, I'm going to sign off again and speak to you again next week. Or if you're at the forum, I may be there just sharing with you. So God bless, take care, and bye for now.
Wednesday 12th of February, District News General. Taz awaits his one true love. Taz is one of 400 large dogs currently being cared for by Dogs Trust nationwide. Tremendous Taz is a beautiful, big, bouncy boy who has so far failed to catch the eye of an admirer. A Great Dane crossbreed who has a personality as big as his size is hoping to meet his one true love this Valentine's Day. Taz is struggling the lead, so is looking for owners who are physically able to handle a large, strong boy and work on his lead skills. He could live with secondary school age children, and his love nest must have a garden in which he can play and stretch his long legs. To see all the dogs waiting on their special someone at Dogs Trust West Calder, visit www.dogstrust.org.uk/West Calder. That's www.dogstrust.org.uk/WESTCALDER. Look Who It Is Now, audience with Gavin Mitchell. Looking to serve up a surprise for a pal or loved one? Treat them to an audience with the actor behind Scotland Telly's best known barman at Kirkintilloch Town Hall on Saturday, March the 15th. Gavin Mitchell, aka Bobby from hit TV show Still Game, will have patrons in high spirits with behind the scenes anecdotes, memories and rib-tickling sales. Tickets at www.allevents.in. Education. More careers information is needed. Skills for Life apprenticeships, National Apprenticeship Week. More than 4/5, 83% of young people in Scotland insist there is not enough information given to them about apprenticeships when considering their career options, a new survey by BDO has found. Of this group, 59% say more work needs to be done to connect young people with local businesses and apprenticeship providers, while nearly a quarter, 24%, said that this lack of information means those that already know people in certain industries and businesses have an advantage. The Young Minds survey of just over 1,000 young people was commissioned by accounting and advisory firm BDO to provide an indicative snapshot of the career aspirations and challenges of young people, canvassing the views of those between the ages of 18 to 25 years. The survey found that more than a third, 38% of young people polled in Scotland still believe that attending university will provide more career choices, yet more than 2/5, 44%, would also consider undertaking an apprenticeship after the degree to upskill, achieve a master's degree level qualification, or to train in a specialist area or profession. Martin Gill, Regional Managing Partner at BDO LLP in Scotland, said, "Apprenticeships play a vital role in building an inclusive and highly skilled workforce of tomorrow, yet many young people in Scotland feel they are still being denied access. This consistent lack of information and education is creating a bottleneck in new talent. Greater connectivity between government, businesses and the education system is needed to allow young people to make more informed decisions and to help match them with employers offering apprenticeship opportunities. We need to work together to ensure everyone has access to the information, training and high quality employment they need to reach their potential. BDO has around 1,000 apprenticeships and offers various roles into the profession, including a 4-year school leaver apprenticeship, insight programmes specifically aimed at those from lower socio-economic backgrounds, and summer internships, all geared towards developing professional skills and creating rewarding careers. To find out more, visit www.careers.bdo.co.uk. That's www.careers.bdo.co.uk. Society of Antiquaries. The Kirkintilloch and District Society of Antiquaries' second meeting of 2025 on February the 6th drew a large attendance to hear Alistair Dinsmore, MBE, take us on a journey through the City of Glasgow Police, 175 years of history. Alistair joined the Renfrewshire and Bute Police as a cadet in 1965 and became a constable in 1968 before transferring to the City of Glasgow Police in 1969. In 1975, Strathclyde Police was formed and he was promoted to Sergeant in 1977 and Inspector in 1986. He retired as an Inspector in 1998. Alistair has always been interested in the history of policing, particularly in Glasgow, and in 2002, with others, he founded the Glasgow Police Museum, which currently attracts 12,000 visitors a year. Alistair took us through the history of the force, from its establishment in 1800 to the merger with the Strathclyde Police in 1975, with an excellent presentation including old drawings, maps and photographs of key locations and individuals, narrated with a dry wit that kept the audience engaged. He explained how the City of Glasgow Police gradually took over the police forces of neighbouring boroughs such as Maryhill, Partick and Govan, as the city expanded during the 19th century, and developments in uniform, the introduction of police vehicles, detectives, police dogs and women police officers. He described some of the key characters, such as chief constables and detectives, and some of the mass murderers and other villains they had to deal with, and social disturbances such as the Bread Riots of 1848, the George Square Riot of 1919, and the unsuccessful attempt by the IRA to free a prisoner from a police van in 1921. The life of the City of Glasgow Police was never dull. Alistair's talk was greatly appreciated by the audience and was followed by a question and answer session. Jazz Emu. For the first time ever, musical supernova Jazz Emu, the Guardian's breakout comedy act of 2023 and the Telegraph's funniest comedians of the 21st century, will be touring the UK with his hotly anticipated brand new show, Night Fever. The tour will feature brand new songs and an appearance from the King himself. Catch Jazz Emu at the Glasgow Glee Club on Sunday, March the 9th. Tickets £25 from www.glee.co.uk/Glasgow. That's www.glee.co.uk/GLASGOW. Night Fever sees Jazz and the Cosmic Perfection's dreams come true when they secure the coveted slot to perform at the headline slot at the Royal Variety Show. At long last, Jazz Emu has a chance to secure his long-coveted knighthood. But there's bad news. A series of recent criminal allegations are threatening to snatch the coveted prize from before his very, very, very eyes. Will Jazz and his contractually less talented than him band be able to put on a heck of a show and secure a royal pardon? Or will Jazzy's next performance be in the canteen at Wormwood Scrubs? The only way to find out is to settle in and watch the musical fever dream that is Jazz Emu Night Fever. Jazz Emu is a viral comedy character sensation from award-winning writer, actor, musician Archie Henderson. garnering over 70 million views, 430 followers on YouTube, 10 million views and 258,000 followers on TikTok, and over 74,000 monthly listeners and 20 million streams on Spotify, Jazz Emu has developed an ever-growing avid fanbase over the past couple of years. And that was this week's District News, read by me, Ian. Wednesday the 12th of February. Public notices. East Dunbartonshire Council public notices. Members' surgeries. Councillors' arrangements for interviewing residents. Ward 4, Bishopbriggs North and Campsie, Councillor Colette McDermott. 15th of February 2025, Bishopbriggs Library, 9:30am to 10am. Councillor Colette McDermott. 15th of February 2025, Torrance Community Centre, 10:15am to 10:45am. Councillor Colette McDermott. 15th of February 2025, Milton of Campsie Village Hall, 11am to 11:30am. Ward 5, Bishopbriggs South, Councillor Gordon Lowe. 15th February 2025, Bishopbriggs Academy, dining area, 10am to 10:45am. Councillor Gordon Lowe. 15th of February 2025, Bishopbriggs Library and Community Hub, Room 1, 11:15am to 12 noon. Councillor Gordon Lowe. 15th of February 2025, Auchinnairn Early Years and Community Centre, Room 1, 12:30pm to 1:15pm. Ward 7, Kirkintilloch East and North and Twecker, Councillor Pamela Marshall. 15th of February 2025, Kirkintilloch Hub, Room 1, 10am to 10:45am. Councillor Pamela Marshall. 15th of February 2025, Hillhead Community Centre, Room 2, 11:15am to 12 noon. Councillor Pamela Marshall. 15th February 2025, Twecker Healthy Living and Enterprise Centre, 12:15pm to 1pm. Councillor Stuart MacDonald. 12th of February 2025, Hub William Patrick Library, Service Room 1, 5:30pm to 6pm. Councillor Stuart MacDonald. 12th of February 2025, Hairstains Huts, 6:15pm to 6:45pm. Councillor Stuart MacDonald. 19th of February 2025, Twecker Healthy Living Centre, 5:30pm to 6pm. Councillor Stuart MacDonald. 19th of February 2025, Hillhead Community Centre, 6:15pm to 6:45pm. Between surgeries, councillors can be contacted at the Members Support Unit on 0300 123 4510. And that was this week's public notices. Katie is already excited for 2026. Report by Brian Yule. The 2026 edition of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow will feature the most extensive medal programme for swimming in its history. A total of 56 medal events will be contested across swimming and para-swimming at Tollcross International Swimming Centre next summer. The men and women will each contest 20 events, 17 individual and 3 relays, plus 2 mixed relays, while the para events comprise 7 events for each sex. Katie Shanahan from Bishopbriggs won bronze in both the 400 metres individual medley and 200 metres backstroke at the 2022 Games in Birmingham. The 20-year-old Olympic finalist is already looking forward to competing in front of a home crowd next year. Shanahan said, The announcement of the medal events is another great milestone in Glasgow delivering the games next year. For me, it really is a home games. I learned to swim and spent many years with clubs in and around Glasgow. Competing for Scotland in a pool I know so well will be so exciting and I really can't wait for it. The Commonwealth Games will take place from July the 23rd to August the 2nd, 2026 and will feature a 10-sport programme concentrated across 4 venues within an 8-mile corridor of the city. A total of over 200 gold medals will be up for grabs across 10 days of sporting competition. These will be in athletics, 3x3 basketball, bowls, boxing, gymnastics, judo, netball, swimming, track cycling and weightlifting. Glasgow 2026 Chief Executive Phil Batty added, Glasgow 2026 is a bridge to the Commonwealth Games of tomorrow and we have a clear vision that it will be brilliantly different. I'm confident that with action-packed programmes across all 4 venues in the city, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Glasgow 2026 is set to be a world-class sporting celebration filled with passion, fun and outstanding sport. Report written by Brian Yule. Sport. City are back on top with 8-0 victory over Montrose. This article is unattributed. Glasgow City returned to the top of the SWPL 1 table with an 8-0 win at home to Montrose. City thought they had taken the lead, only for a Lisa Evans hit to be disallowed. However, they wouldn't have to wait too long for the opener. On 14 minutes, Ailey Gambon forced the ball home from a Katie Lockwood corner, and then, less than 2 minutes later, Samantha Van Diemen fired in a free kick. On 19 minutes, Nicole Kozlova headed in at the back post to make it 3-0, and Brenna Lovera added a 4th on the half-hour mark, with a penalty following a foul on Amy Muir. A minute later, and captain Jo Love scored her 99th Glasgow goal for City to make it 5-0 at the break. Montrose contributed to their own downfall in the second period, with own goals by Georgia Carter just after the hour mark, and Casey Cowper in injury time. Sandwiched between them was Kimberly Smith getting her first goal for City when she drove home in the 73rd minute. City head coach Leanne Ross told the club's media team, "From start to finish I thought we had good intentions and it was pleasing to score 8 goals. We respect every opponent that comes here. We need to go out with the right mindset and we reap the rewards." Rossville Women lost 7-0 away to Gartcairn in their SWPL 2 clash. City are at home to Celtic on Friday, with both sides locked on 50 points, while Rossville host bottom side Ayr United on Sunday. That article is unattributed, read by Ian. Help shape the future of rugby. Report by Don Renton. Scottish Rugby is conducting a review of the male adult season structure ahead of the 2025-26 season kicking off in August. The current structure of the male adult season requires review to ensure the game remains competitive, sustainable and aligned with the needs of players, clubs and the wider rugby community both now and into the future. Additionally, Scottish Rugby needs feedback on the potential inclusion of rugby sevens into the male adult fixture calendar, as well as match load, rest, recovery and player welfare, travel considerations, player involvement in decision making, and more. Scottish Rugby Head of Competitions and Compliance Vicky Cox said, "Your voice shapes the game, and the season review is one of the tools we can use to safeguard domestic competition and the people who uphold the game at the grassroots level. Every player, coach, club committee member and stakeholder has a role in shaping the future of our game. Your insights and experiences are invaluable in creating a season that works for everyone. Have your say, drive positive change, and help strengthen rugby from the ground up." Scottish Rugby is seeking input from a range of groups and needs opinions to ensure we listen to and implement feedback from the game. The 5 groups to be engaged with during this period are Current adult male players actively registered at the club. Recent adult male players at the club. Under 18 players actively registered at the club. Coaches and support staff who are active in the game. And club committee and administrators. This is the first step in a 3-month review process, which will culminate in Scottish Rugby staff presenting findings to the Club Rugby Board for approval and implementation. The survey can be found via the Scottish Rugby website at www.scottishrugby.org/help-us-mail-season-structure. Submit your feedback by 5 p.m. on Friday, February the 28th, and your entry is in with a chance to win a £200 voucher to spend at the Scottish Rugby shop. And that article was written by Don Renton. Rob Roy stuck to their task to grab a late winner at Vale. This article is unattributed. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy boss John Gibson believes his side stuck to our task with a 1-0 win away to Vale of Clyde. It would be a dramatic last-minute winner to seal the 3 points as Jordan Scott slid the ball across the 6-yard box for Jamie Bowman to slam home. Rob Roy remains in the relegation places in the West of Scotland First Division, but are now just 2 points off 11th place Kilbirnie Leeds side, who they face next. Gibson told the club's YouTube channel, "We stuck to our task. We knew it was going to be tough because Vale of Clyde are a good side. They battle away. The pitch is good, it's just a wee bit tight, so you know that's the type of game you're in for. You've got to come and battle, and they've got players who want to battle. They've only actually been beaten 3 times at home and had a number of draws, so it tells you every game they're in it is tight. They probably could have won some of those other games. There's not many teams who will come here and get 3 points, so we're really happy. Playing wise, we've been quite good, and now we have to start being more consistent to get points on the board with 15 games to go. We've brought in a couple of players, and we've moved a couple out, so we're in a good place and we need to start moving on." At the other end, Petershill are one of the 4 sides sitting on 30 points at the top of the table, following a 3-1 win away to Cumbernauld United. Dominic Morgan grabbed a double, while Regan Aitken was also on target at Guy's Meadow, and they're only behind Renfrew in goal difference. Caledonian Locomotives won 3-2 away to Kilsyth Rangers in the 2nd Division, with Ryan Gibb, Ryan Watson and Taylor Wright finding the net. The 3rd Division saw Finnart win 2-1 at home to Ardeer Thistle, with goals from Primislav Dachnovic and Barry Peters, while Glasgow Perthshire were held 2-2 as they entertained Kilsyth Athletic, as Darren Maguire and Dean Nielsen scored. Saturday fixtures: 1st Division, Kilbirnie Ladeside v Kirkintilloch Rob Roy, Petershill vs Ardrossan Winton Rovers, St Roch's vs Ashfield. 3rd Division, Finnart vs Lugar Boswell Thistle, Glasgow Perthshire vs Glasgow University. 4th Division, Rossville vs Silcoats Victoria, Royal Albert vs West Park United. The author of that article is unattributed, and it was read by me, Ian.
That concludes this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.